Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Play for Dummies. Hi, Rob. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Hi, Izzie. Hi, everyone. I'm good, thanks. How are you, Izzie?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Always good when I get to speak to you for an afternoon, Rob.
Yeah, thank you very much. Likewise, Izzie, likewise. So, it's me. Any dummy moments to share with us this week, Izzie?
Yes, I have had like three baking dummy moments this week. The first was I tried to make a pie. I've gotten into making pie, which is nice. But I put the
Mm.
pastry on when it was far too hot, and I dropped it, and then it went all gloopy, and then I just ended up with this massive ball of pastry. So I had to throw it
Oh
in the bin
dear.
and find some more.
Oh,
That was
brilliant.
annoying.
What pie was
And
it?
chicken pie, it's so good. Um,
Mm.
Another moment was I got a bread maker. Can you tell I'm like really boring? I got a bread maker and I tried to put the bread on to like bake in the morning, but I accidentally pressed the start button and so the bread was just ready at like midnight. I mean, who wants fresh bread at midnight? And the third one
You did
was
that snack, though.
I wanted to make pancakes at my partner's house, and I had half the ingredients at his house and half of the stuff at my house. And so I was like, right, I got to take the stuff from my house to his house. Except I forgot I'd done that. So the next day I took the stuff from his house to my house. So I ended up with the
Oh
opposite half
dear.
of the ingredients at the wrong wrong houses. So I spent
Oh,
all this
Izzie.
pancake. That is
Oh,
my brain on a daily basis, honestly.
pe people at home, you can't see me, but I'm currently just like
He's got
shocked.
his hands on his
My
head.
hands on my head and just thinking, what on earth are you doing? Like,
I'm an incredibly organized person in some ways, and then in some ways I am so forgetful. I just
I
try
think
and
it's
move
just
too quickly through life.
Yeah, I think it just seems so out of character for you in a way, doesn't it, really? From what I know about you, you're like one of the most organized people I know. So to do that just seems like a really dummy moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, Rob, what's our
Brilliant.
question this week?
So this week we're going to be answering the question, or trying to anyway. Can Christians date non-Christians?
Big question, big question. Let's just get straight into it. What have you got for to start us off?
Well, I suppose the quick answer is yes, because physically you can date anyone. But maybe a more helpful question could be phrased as, is it a good idea to date a non-Christian?
I think that is a better question, yeah. Um, Otherwise the answer is just yes, and then we can all go home. Um,
Yeah.
as a Christian young person, then, Rob, what do you think? Is it a good idea to date a non-Christian? And actually, maybe um, we were deciding
Mm.
whether to do this. We thought we should probably start with a disclaimer. Um, I think it's really important that you know, as a listener, that this is our opinion. We are both Christians.
Yeah.
We are both youth workers, and I think it's really important to know that this is how we feel about it. But also, this is what we think the Bible is saying. So, our job, but also our conviction as Christians, is to read the Bible and to really try and understand what it's saying to us, even if it's telling us something uncomfortable or something that we don't like. Um, so, this is our opinion on the matter.
Yeah.
And we are so open to talking about this. This is what we would say if a young person came to us. But also, you might have your own youth leader or a parent or another adult in your life that you can talk to. So do go and talk to them. And if you want to disagree with us, that is so fine. You are so welcome to disagree with us. And we really hope that if we say something that makes you uncomfortable or that you disagree with, that we can do that really well. And we're not meaning to offend anyone. We just want to share how we feel and maybe how our friends have experienced certain things as well. Um, so, Rob, do you want to try and answer the question as best you can? Is it a good idea to date a non-Christian?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. Good question. I think we can recommend some things and some Bible verses for you to look at, but to get straight into it, personally, I would not recommend it. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, and I'm sure we'll scratch the surface of it. But for me, when it comes down to it, the most important thing, the number one priority in my life is being a Christian. Um, yeah, and all that that means. And so my priority, therefore, is to God, is to Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And now, if you're listening to this and you're not a Christian, first of all, welcome. Hi, thanks for coming. But maybe you're confused about what I've said, or maybe a little shocked. I've got a great life. I've got a wonderful marriage, two young Crazy little kids, lovely friends and family. I've got a lot to be thankful for, a great job and a home, but my priority is none of that. Now, don't get me wrong, they're very important. Like my friends and my family, especially, are very important. But my meaning, the reason why I'm here and why I'm on this earth, is dedicated to God, doing what He wants, which is to love Him as best as I can and to love everyone else. Now, not to get sidetracked too much, but what does this have to do with dating? So for me, yeah, I know. For me, when I was single, the idea of dating someone who does not share the same priority in life as me would simply mean that one of us would have to compromise, and that would not be fair on either one of us.
Okay, that's interesting. I definitely agree with having the same priority as people. But what do you mean? But one of you would have to compromise. Surely that's okay. If I date someone who supports a different football team, we don't have to compromise on that, do we? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. So what I mean is that one of us would be compromising in a way that would really matter to us. So if I was to have dated a non-Christian, I would be so focused on my priority in life being God and Jesus that my partner, quite rightly, would not feel the priority in the relationship, and they might not understand that. It wouldn't really be fair on them. They might be cool with it to start with, but as things get more serious, they'd realize that, and then it might not be fair. And so, if my
Mm.
wife said to me all of a sudden, "Actually, Rob, I'm going to prioritize Dave from down the road," that would just be unacceptable. There is no Dave from down the road. That would be unacceptable in my eyes, hopefully in everyone's eyes. But because I'm not prioritizing another human in my life, but God, the God of the world, and because she is doing that too, we're both on the same page. And she gets it because she's doing it. And dating a non-Christian may cause harm, either in what you're doing in that moment immediately, a short term, or perhaps the long term. And nobody should want to be in a relationship to hurt someone else.
Yeah, that's really important, isn't it? I mean, even when we just feel like somebody is putting their work or their sports or whatever in front of us in a relationship or even in a friendship, that can be really painful. And I think
Mm,
it would be really painful if somebody said, you aren't my priority, like my God and my church and my prayer life and my Bible, that's my priority.
yeah.
And so that's how they would be compromising in quite a big way. So your faith would come first and they would have to
Mm,
compromise and understand that. But
yeah.
are there also ways that you as the Christian in that might be compromising?
Yeah, and I think this one is perhaps more likely to be compromised on just due to the nature of it. And I'll share a bit about like just a little bit about personal experience at the end. But like my own priorities may start to shift, and I might not start seeing God as the most important thing in my life. And that can be something which can be a change that I'm acknowledging and I'm doing deliberately, or it might just be gradual, something that just shifts slowly over time. I might start going to youth group or church on a Sunday morning just so I could start hanging out with them. And I think, yeah, that it's more likely to happen in terms of compromising than perhaps the other way around. And I know that because it's happened to me. So I've been in a couple of relationships with non-Christians, and my priority has been shifted from God to the other person, like as a teenager in secondary school. So like living it out, and although that was a long time ago to now, the fundamentals of that is the same. Um, and if year 10 me could go back and change things, I would, because in that instance, it was me that hurt someone else. Because when it came to the realization of what is my priority, then that relationship ended, and that led to hurt. And another time, when I was in my early 20s, it happened, but this time I was the one that was hurt. And having God as my number one priority, and therefore, like the advice of us not to date people that aren't Christians, is to kind of prevent that from happening.
Yeah, thank you for being honest. So that was, yeah, like it's not always easy to be honest about times we've got things wrong, especially when we've hurt other people. So thank you. Um, it feels like your reasons for dating or not dating somebody have quite little to do with actually dating them and about what they're like. Because this person could be amazing. They could be like, they could have so many good qualities, but your reasons seem to be more about God himself and your relationship with God. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. Most things in life that I do come down to, does this help me with loving God more? And for example, our last podcast episode of should I go to church when it's boring? Like ultimately, what is going to help me love God more? Is it going to be putting my phone down and stopping the scrolling like we talked about and deliberately trying to listen, or serving in a team because the church, we can serve the church and the church can serve us? That's more likely to be than just stopping going to church or boring. That is going to be the thing that is going to help me love God more.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember like years ago, somebody said to me, if you're going to start dating somebody, I mean, this was about dating a Christian, but it's the same application. It
Yeah.
needs to be somebody who is helping you run the race, so helping you move
Mm,
towards God and become more like Jesus. So actually, there are Christians that I've wanted to date, and then I thought, I'm not sure they're going to make me more like Jesus. I'm not sure they're going to help me on the mission that God has given me. And so actually maybe we shouldn't date. And I guess it's that question, is this person going to help me grow to be more like Jesus or not?
yeah.
So let's move on a little bit. I think it's really important to say, like, biblically, dating wasn't really a thing. Like, dating wasn't really around in the Bible. I challenged my youth leader, like, team recently to find any dating in the Bible, and the closest thing they could find was Jacob and Leah, or Jacob and
Oh
Rachel.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and even then, I'm not sure that was really dating. He was working very hard to try and marry them. And
He was,
anyway,
wasn't
the point
he?
is,
Yeah.
dating isn't really in the Bible. So in Proverbs 27, it talks about iron sharpening iron and how one person can sharpen another person, which is
Yeah.
relevant to friendships and dating, basically. Um, and actually, it means that, so if I'm dating another Christian, we are both like pieces of iron. And when they rub against each other, they help each other to grow sharp, and to be useful, and to kind of fulfill their purpose. But actually, if iron is rubbing against something that isn't iron, it's going to
Mm,
damage it. Um,
yeah.
so like you were saying, we might get hurt, but also the other person might get hurt as well.
Yeah.
And actually the verses that are often kind of quoted when we talk about dating non-Christians is the ones about being unequally yoked. So in
Yeah.
2 Corinthians 6, verse 14, um, it's quite difficult to explain just in one podcast. We could do a whole
Yeah, we
podcast
could,
about
couldn't
it,
we?
but being unequally yoked, basically a yoke is like a wooden bar, and it joins two oxen or like two cows or whatever together, um, and then it connected to what they were pulling, like a plow or a wagon or whatever. So if it was an equally yoked team of oxen, they would both be pulling with the same strength, and they'd be the same height and the same weight or whatever. If it was unequally yoked, if one of them was shorter or weaker or slower,
Yeah.
the stronger one would move faster, and the shorter one would
Yeah.
move slower. So it's kind of like having one leg shorter than the other. Um, and you just end up moving around in circles, basically. You just create a roundabout. So if the oxen are equally yoked, they can move forward in a straight line. But if they're unequally yoked and they're just going around in circles, they can't do what they're supposed to do, and they just keep going back around and round and round. Basically, what the Bible is saying is, if we date or marry somebody who doesn't have, like you said, the same priorities as us, the same love for Jesus, or not having a love for Jesus in their heart,
Mm.
then we're going to be kind of going around in circles, because our priority, the thing that we're striving for, is not the same as them. So we're going to be like a pair of oxen going around in circles trying to pull something and not really getting anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said just exactly what I was about to say. Good job.
Great. Um, I also think dating in this day and age is so different from back in the day. Um, and I think, it's really easy to look at the Bible or to look at life 100 years ago, and the world wasn't quite as fair to women as it is now. Um, but
Mm.
dating just didn't look like it does. And so your husband might be chosen for you, and you would kind of be married off, or trying to marry into a good family, or marry into a way that you might be protected or provided for. And actually, I think what we're called to do in our dating and in our friendships is using the Bible to apply good decisions. So we use these verses and we think, what does this actually teach us about how we should live, and how can we apply that? So, what advice would you give, Rob, to somebody who might be thinking about starting a relationship with a non-Christian, who might be in a relationship with a non-Christian, who's really struggling with that kind of unequally yoked tension?
Yeah, everything you're saying is really good, Izzy. I feel like I'd be doing clicks and nodding my head if you were in my youth group and we were talking about this. It's really good. Yeah, good question. Like if you're a churchgoer or you go to youth group and you have a new boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever label you want to call it, then I think bring them to things. Just because I'm recommending to you like not to date um, someone who is not a Christian doesn't mean to say that I like my young people any less if they're doing this. Actually, what we're presented with is an opportunity for people to seek Jesus for themselves, which is what we all deserve, that opportunity. I actually really enjoy meeting new young people. Izzy, I'm sure, would say the same. Like we're both youth leaders. I don't think we would be if we weren't. We're going to make sure that they have a good time. They're not going to be treated negatively. I'm more likely to reassure them, actually, if it's their first time, that they're welcome to this and welcome to things. I also think that if you invite them to youth group or church, you're sharing the love of Jesus with them, but not only you are, the other people that you're with are also doing it. Yeah, so people are becoming Christians all the time. So if you invite, you should invite them to things. I'd also recommend having some honest conversations with them about how important God is to you and figuring out a way that do you want to move forward in the relationship with that or not, not just jumping quickly to conclusions. Oh, that's it, hang on a minute, they're not a Christian, that's it, that's the end. But these things really take time to think about and pray about. And if we were having this chat as a one-to-one and I knew you, I would be we'd be looking at what that was like and all the like little details in that. But I've kind of got to go back to that first point of my priority is God and what is going to help me love God to the best of my ability. That's what I would say.
Just to throw a wild card in, what about the
Yeah.
phrase that a lot of us will have heard, flirt to convert? So that's where you flirt with somebody that you fancy in order to convert them to being a Christian so that you can date them. What do you
Okay,
think about that?
cool. Yeah, well, I mean, I've got a couple of friends who might have some experience with this. One of them is my wife's friends from her youth group back at home. She started dating this guy probably in her early 20s, and he was not a Christian, and she was all in for Jesus, going to church, everything, striving for that Christian lifestyle, and she found it really hard. And I asked her once, I said, as a youth leader, I get asked the questions about what about flirt to convert or dating a non-Christian. For you, your story is a story where it has ended with he has eventually decided to become a Christian, and the two of you have gotten married, and that has worked out well. But what would you tell the young people if they were to ask me? And she said to me, and I remember it very clearly because it wasn't really the answer I was expecting. She said, I actually would recommend not doing it. She said, I really felt God in that moment and being in a relationship with him. And she said it was really, really hard for her. They had things that they just did not agree on and things that they found really difficult. And if she didn't feel God was in it, then she would have ended it. And who are we to really determine whether she can hear God? If she says that she really felt God was in it, then God was in it. So that's just a time where it's worked out. And also, I've got some other friends who are good friends of ours live near us, and they a similar story really. She was a Christian, and she was dating this guy who was not a Christian, and I actually called her on the way to recording this podcast. I called her up and said, "This is what's happening," and she said, "My faith was not mature enough when I started dating him, because if it was, I wouldn't have dated him." And as her faith got mature as she went on, her now husband slowly became a Christian himself. And she said she gave times where they experienced a bit of trouble in like what they were going to go through. And she said it would be him that would bring to her the opportunity to pray about it together once they were married. And I think these are stories really where flirting to converting has worked out. But the reality is most of the time they don't. And so
Well,
yeah,
also,
just
like, I think both of those stories, both of them wouldn't recommend it, which is really
yeah,
interesting. So I think you're right. Most flirt to convert situations don't work out. And I think, that might be something we can go into again in the future. But actually, even when it does work out, people are saying it's so difficult, and it only
you're
really
right.
worked
Yeah,
out because their partner became a Christian. And there are loads of stories where their partner hasn't become a Christian, and actually they're really
absolutely.
struggling. And I've been in churches all my life where one half of a couple comes to church, and that's really tricky because their partner doesn't share the most important thing in their life.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And that's just some decisions that when you get to, you have to work them out. And, if you're a teenager listening to this, chances are you're probably not thinking about marriage. But ultimately, eventually it gets to a point when dating is probably going to lead to marriage. And so you've got to not be thinking about being married at 15, but have that in the back of your mind. What is the point of me dating? Where am I going with this? What about in 5, 10 years time? Like then how does it change? Is that going to affect me from dating there? After with the flirt to convert, Izzy, do you have anything that you want to say about that?
Yeah, I think I think it is part of my story as well, which maybe I'll go into a little bit more when we talk about my testimony. But um, I really learned during the first bit of when I was a Christian that I had gone to church in order to meet a boy and go out with him. And actually, I came out with something so much richer and deeper. And life would have been fine if I'd come out with a boyfriend, but actually, I came out knowing Jesus,
Yeah.
and he had very different plans for me in my life. And I'm so glad that I met Jesus, as well as I did meet a boy, but actually I met Jesus, and that was the most life-changing thing for me. And that has helped me make all of my decisions in my life, and it has led my life and given me purpose. And um yeah, I wonder, we often try and set a challenge for the week, and we were saying maybe the challenge this week could just be to talk to an adult in your church, in your life, about this topic. Um, but I wonder if maybe whether you're dating somebody, you're not dating somebody at the moment, why don't you write down the top five most important things, most important values in your life, um, whether it's your faith, whether it's things that you want in the future, whether it's things that are really important to you. It could be something like being a vegan, or it could be the politics that you follow, or it could be your relationship with God, or the kind of church that you go to.
Mm, yeah.
Write those things down, and maybe just think and pray about, are these things that I want to compromise, or are these things that I am not willing to compromise just for a relationship? This is more important than a relationship. And actually, maybe you could use that to kind of guide how you date, and maybe you'll kind of save yourself from a bit of heartbreak. I wish I had done that as a teenager. So that's
Mm.
my challenge. Write down your top five values in your life, and just pray about over the next few weeks, what am I willing to let go of, and what is actually too important to let go of.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, Izzy, for that. I mean, I follow a football team that aren't very good at all, and while that's important to me, it's really not very important to me in the grand scheme of things. And like my list, I feel would like number one would be God, and it's just people listening, like, what's that list going to do for you? So thank you very much, everyone, for listening. A bit of a long one today, Izzy, but hopefully it's been good and yeah, enjoyable for you all. I believe next week we're going to be finding a bit more about you and your testimony. That's exciting.
Yes, we are. Good luck, everybody.
Hope you're ready for another good podcast. So with that, I'm going to say bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye,
Goodbye, everyone.
everyone.
Bye, Izzy. I'm waving
Bye.
again.
We're waving at each
Woohoo. Bye bye. If I can figure out how to turn it off.
other.